This podcast is rated E for explicit. In our previous episode, our conversation about our friendships got a little bit lengthy. But in this episode, we're back to assess if those friendships were a little bit filthy.
You're saying this is a friendship, but the only person doing the work is you.
Yeah, some felt a little bit lonely. And if you're gonna tell me about my feelings, make sure you know me. When you're trying to tell me about my feelings, that's where I have to stop you, sweetie. And when it comes to my time, please don't be greedy.
What does it feel like, I guess, to have a friend that is not only needy, but possessive at the same time?
I don't get possessed, bitch.
Oh.
Well, guess what?
They'll test you to see how committed you are to your own boundaries.
And, once more, what is your friendship credit score?
Is it 400? Okay. You know, if it's under 6, we may need to do some things to help you improve your credit.
Gonna be there for you. Oh, can you hear me when I say I'm tired of being no one? Something used to thrown away, yeah.
You met me in the midst of many things. Shedding skin, sprout wings, looking at life as a spiritual being through a human lens, having conversations with God about so many things. This show is your invitation. The poet God is the conversation. Nothing will have us singing the blues more than the relationships we were born into and the ones we choose. But as we grow, as we become more evolved in the things we know, and as we use that knowledge to help us sow the seeds of healthier relationships in our gardens of woe, healthier experiences will meet us where we go. So as long as we've done the work to make it so, they will meet us in the flow, and they will teach us what they know. And we will sing new songs about what we've now been empowered to choose. New songs beyond the blues. You can't argue with the way somebody feels.
True.
Right? The way they are experiencing. Although some people
try to do it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
And tell you about your experience. That's called gaslighting.
Oh, come on, narcissist. Preach.
See, because when you're trying to tell me about my feelings, that's where I have to stop you, sweetie. Like, you can't tell me how I feel. Like, how are you about to do that? But you're right. And I'm like, listen,
It's funny. It's what I just think. This line that was used against me. Well, you make it seem like no. I'm not making it seem like anything. This is what I'm saying right to you. You are making it seem like something else because you're not listening to what I'm saying.
Oh God!
Right? So that whole expression of feelings and people trying to change them to something that benefits them. So that what that reminded me of is a recent friend breakup. As a matter of fact, I'm still going through it at the moment, where the person is very needy. Right?
Come on.
So what happens is that no matter how hard I try to create distance, their
closing
neediness
it.
is stronger, right? So, say for instance, you don't answer a call. Well, you get 3 more the next day.
Oops.
Right? Those types of things. And whereas, I've been trying to handle it in a point where, like, I know that I have this savior complex, trying to make everybody's life wonderful, trying to treat everybody well. I know you're going through some hard times. Let me be there for you, but I'm tired, right? And the issue that I have is how do you do that, even though you still care, right? But you're not enjoying the relationship anymore, and the relationship has only become work for you.
Yeah.
Right? How do you break up with somebody in that case?
So how is that fair to you? And I guess, that's my mirror looking at me.
Well, that's a question still.
Yeah.
Right?
How is that fair to you if you're saying this is a friendship, but the only person doing the work is you?
Yeah. So keep in mind, though, just like I mentioned before, there's the needy side. There's somebody they don't see it that way because they don't even see themselves as being needy.
I'll be devil's advocate. So were you needy at one point too, that you had been in a friendship for them, and then your growth is different now that you're not as needy? That it kind of is different now?
So I would say that in this particular case, no. I'm not going to count that out for other relationships because I do believe that's happened. In this case, this is one where I think I should have known day one and not 14 years later.
Oops.
So yes, there's that.
Well, that brings up a great point, and you and I were talking about this before we came on air. But so, in terms of the friendships that we've shared, we have, or similar people that we have, what does it feel like, I guess, to have a friend that is not only needy but possessive at the same time?
Wow, that's good because that's this situation as well. So, we were talking about the fact that
I don't get possessed, bitch.
Right. Well, guess what? There are people who have
spirits.
Who, when you hang out with them, you're theirs.
Whoa.
Yeah. And that is even harder to deal with because you want to create spaces where you're in a group setting, you're in an open setting, not just a group. And they still tend to want it to be just you two.
But the other flip side to that possession thing is that some people do want to be possessed. They feel it's loving. They receive they until it's not. But initially they're like, "Oh my God, you love me. You want to hang out with me all the time. Oh my God, I feel so sought after." Like it's.
I would be trying to cancel that one as well. But look, and so like to your point about the whole cancel thing, I've gone through a process with this. What is it that I can do? What is it that I can change? In terms of like how I interact with this person, and I'm at the point now where there is nothing else I can do
because it's not about you.
Exactly.
Akil made that comment yesterday when we were having conversation. A lot of times when our friends are abusive, they act out and so on and so forth, a lot of that energy is not about us. It's about them, and we're only the objects of said acting out.
Yep. Or we then decide to change our boundaries or get some healthy boundaries in the relationship, and people are responding and reacting to the fact that we have new boundaries with them. Why don't you let me do this anymore?
Oops. Exactly.
Ooh, I want to shout.
Oh my God, that's such a good point. These new boundaries, people, they rebel against them. They're mad.
Yep. And they'll test you to see how committed you are to your own boundaries.
Right. Ooh, what is that about?
Well, you let people cross your boundaries and you're not honoring your own. Like people may feel or friends may feel like or not take your boundaries seriously. And until you honor your own boundaries and commit to them and stick to them, which then sends the message that if I'm honoring my boundaries, I'm expecting other people to honor my boundaries too.
But when we were friends, there were no lines drawn, and now you decided to draw lines now. You didn't tell me. You didn't tell me.
Yeah. What did you say earlier? Oh, now you better than me? Yeah. But no, those are true. I mean, these are all really good examples of real life situations that people go through, and probably not too uniquely. I mean, I think that we all probably have had at least one friendship that went sour, and we probably stayed in it for about 14 years too long.
Damn. Damn, that is not an arbitrary number, Calvin.
Said twice.
Yeah,
Right, and read.
That's not a random number.
Right, but you see what I'm saying is that sometimes we do let things last longer than our expiration date, like Nick said earlier.
But sometimes we just gain a new level of awareness. This person may have been crossing your boundaries this whole time, and you just weren't aware of it because you, for whatever reason, didn't acknowledge or honor your own boundaries. But as you do the work on yourself and you start to discover where boundaries need to be for you in order to be healthy in a relationship and it not be toxic, for you to then enforce or for you to stick to commit to those boundaries, like literally could change the nature of the relationship altogether. And it would take, in order to remain in friendship with that person, they have to accept the new boundaries and respect those. If they cannot do that, then that's a reason to potentially break up with a friend.
Absolutely. So again, I know I keep referencing our conversation yesterday, but I have to. So there comes a point of enlightenment. To your point, Nick, there comes a point of enlightenment, and there comes a point where you also start to surround yourself with people who are like-minded, i.e., us.
Hey, for us.
Yeah. And then, so when you get to that point, you're like, shit, I used to be treated like this, and now I'm like, bitch, I used to drive a Ford Tempo long time ago. and now I'm in a fucking Mercedes, and this is how it feels like to be in a Mercedes crowd or crew. That shit is priceless. Just saying.
Oh, is that us? Are we Mercedes?
Even though the Germans cars, but it's okay. Go ahead. It's okay. It's fine.
All this xenophobia.
No, I 100% agree with you, but I probably wouldn't put such a big value judgment on it.
Because personally, I prefer Porsche, but go ahead.
Oh, wow. Another German.
Right.
Okay. No, but I think that what I would say, though, is that you are now probably in a place where your needs are being better met. Right? Yeah. As opposed to it being better friends, you're just now in a better position to get your needs met. Right?
Aaron, I'm so glad you feel loved. I'm so glad that we've provided a loving space for you.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Can we do something about that?
I was going to say, but also I think that contributes to you being able to discern the relationships that are not right for you.
Absolutely.
Like you were saying, you have relationships where you do feel free, where you feel safe, where you feel heard, you feel seen, and it contributes to your well-being, and it doesn't feel forced. It feels reciprocal. It feels healthy. And so then to step back into relationships where none of those things are present, like, I'm not finna do that. With what? I'd rather devote my energy to the relationships that feel mutual and feel reciprocal and feel like they're not just taking from me, like they also fill me up.
Yeah.
And to that point, like, I've said this about Gary for years, that he was one of the first friends that allowed me to be in a space of unconditional love where I could then begin to learn to love myself better. So that is one of the best gifts that your friends, that good, healthy relationships give you, is a space and a mirror to say, hey, you are worth this. You are worthy of this kind of experience. And if you have not learned to give that to yourself, then this is a space for you to start to do that, for you to start to learn to love yourself better. And I'm going to support you in doing that and going and growing towards a healthier place with yourself.
Something that you said, Akil, probably like 10 minutes or so ago. How have we been, I guess, better friends? Or how have we been good friends? Have we actually always embodied the spirit of being a good friend, and what that's supposed to look like?
Well, I think you bring to... Well, like I said earlier, in terms of the friendships being an extension of a relationship with yourself, the love is only as good as the lover.
Come on. Come on, Tony.
You know I love that line. Because it applies to so many things, though, right?
That's true.
Like, so whatever you bring to the friendship with others is also how you're dealing, a reflection of how you're dealing with yourself. As that gets better, the relationships they have to, right? Because you can't keep a good thing to yourself, you're going to naturally share it, and other people are going to experience it, and they're going to reflect it, and they're going to be inspired to bring the best of themselves to you and share. And you know, so it's one wonderful thing happening with another. And it's not that we're all so perfect. That's not it. But our experience with each other, we want to be the best. We want to bring the best of ourselves, right?
Said differently, I think about it, and Layla Delia talks about it this way too, about your vibration and your frequency, and your relationships being a reflection of that. You are connecting with people who are on a similar vibration or frequency, and as your frequency gets higher, some relationships it mismatch. And so you want to connect with or people that have a similar vibe to you. We talk about vibes all the time, good energy, right?
Yes.
But you feel that energy, you discern that. And so your people are those who are vibrating on a similar wavelength as you.
Absolutely. You know what's amazing to me? And this is to that point about energy. I was at the supermarket the other day and looking for milk while everybody was buying the toilet paper up for whatever reason. And this lady walked up to me and she just started a conversation, and the energy that she came with was so positive and so, you know, she was like, I'm not even stressed. I'm just here to get food for my kids while they're home for the week. And I'm just trying to find some soy milk. And she was like, I'm guessing you're looking for that too. And so we just started this conversation. But her, although we were talking about soy milk, her energy is the the conversation that was being had. She was so bright. She was so positive. She was so unbothered, really by all of this stuff. And I was thinking to myself, like, wow, she felt so comfortable to come up and just start up this conversation as if we were friends, right? That's how she approached me, right?
Right.
And I was like, there has to really, really be something to that. Because you could do that to somebody, they could be a total asshole. You're like, oops, sorry.
Right.
Didn't mean to disturb you, But I'm glad that she was right and that we were able to just naturally have this organic, experience about, soy milk. But I think that same thing happens with friends, right?
Yeah. And like, what if our vibe shifting or us not being on the same wavelength does not necessarily make me better or you worse of a person?
Yes.
What if it's just that we're not on the same wavelength and there's no judgment there? There's still love, but I need to find my tribe that is connected on the same wavelength, and I'm going to release you to do the same.
Yeah. Yes.
That's a good
Because
point.
You deserve that as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I actually said that to an ex once. I was like, why are you sitting here dealing with me and us fighting? Just go find a new crew and leave me alone.
Oops.
Right? And it wasn't. No. It wasn't. It was. I know it sounded more negative, but it was one of those moments where 5 years after we broke up, he's still trying to be friends with me, and I'm like, every time we have this conversation, it is not a positive conversation for you. Let this go. It's time. Go ahead and move on. Right? You can do this. Right?
Yes, like this friendship is no longer providing an opportunity for growth. So it's best that you go find an area where you can grow.
Right. And so, but I want to say it a little bit different. It wasn't about the opportunity for growth. It was the fact that this whole I know it was a read. This whole friendship is only serving to keep you down. It is just holding you back.
If you don't preach, both of you,
move on. But what I was going to say earlier, because Nick made some great points about being on the same wavelength, I think that one of the things that is discounted is being on the same wavelength with people who can only help to push you higher, right?
Yes.
You're not spending any energy holding somebody back, and you're saying, oh, that's where you want to go? Okay, well, let me be a little wind under your wings and push you on a little way, because it's not hurting me to do it, right?
Right.
It's only empowering me to be a part of that, right?
Something that I just got out of that is that it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It is free. So why are you stressing out and being upset and all of that if it's so free? It's like the gift of love.
Well, because you're probably their security blanket, and they can't afford to let you be so free.
Really, I know.
Or you're the one in the group that we were able to control now, and then you're trying to not be controlled anymore.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There are people like that who really, some of the people they're around. That is how they survive. is that other person being available, always pick me up here, take me there, all of that kind of stuff.
That is a narcissistic relationship, sadly.
Because it's all about serving the other person.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that one thing that we didn't talk about is just how we define friendships, right? And we've kind of touched on all different types of quote unquote friendships, right? Different levels, different approaches from different people. And I think that is one of the things that makes this conversation, this topic a little bit hard of how to break up with a friend, is that you kind of have to define what kind of friendship you have and whether or not you care about that person enough to either just cut it off cold turkey or do a slow turn towards something that's going to keep you both moving forward.
So I remember being invited to somebody's birthday party. And when I received the invitation to the birthday party, I mean, I did consider the person a friend. We weren't close friends, but, we had hung out several times before. So we were friendly. Anyway. Invited to the birthday party, got to the location of where the birthday party was going to be, and they didn't show up. We were there waiting for almost 2 hours.
Was it Lauryn Hill? Oh, I'm sorry. Oops. Go ahead. My bad. I'm sorry.
It can all be so simple. And they didn't show up, and I just thought to myself, this is so disrespectful. So disrespectful in terms of my time, right? I waited. You didn't even show up within I said, you know what? Don't invite me to another fucking thing that you got going on. Like, I am good. Okay. But their response to what I had to say, because I had called them out on that and some other things in reference to their ideas of surrounding friendship, and they were like, well, I don't know what's wrong with you because sometimes I don't talk to some of my friends for months, and then when I pick back up with them, they're good. And I was like,